Donald Trump is now blasting French President Emmanuel Macron in a late night Truth Social post, calling Macron a publicity speaker and saying that Macron's decision, or rather call, that Donald Trump was heading back to Washington, D.C. early from the G7 was due to a ceasefire deal materializing between Iran and Israel to be completely false. Trump says he's seeking a, quote, real end to the conflict, not just a ceasefire, emphasizing a completely give up by Iran rather than temporary peace. Trump said that his return from the G7 late last night early was much bigger than a ceasefire. Remember, Donald Trump was scheduled to be at the G7 today for a high stakes meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He left early yesterday, headed back to Washington, D.C., had a late night emergency National Security Council meeting in the Situation Room, and tensions are rising in the Middle East right now as all signs point to the United States soon potentially getting involved militaristically in Iran. Trump has clarified on Truth Social that he has not initiated any peace talks with Iran and criticized the country for not accepting a prior deal. Meanwhile, according to CNN, U.S. intelligence assessments indicate that Iran is not actively pursuing a nuclear weapon and was potentially up to 3 years away from delivering one, contradicting Israel's claims of an imminent threat. Now, we'll see what happens. Before you continue, please consider subscribing to my Substack by clicking the button below to support my work or sending a donation to my Venmo to Aaron-Parnas. In addition, Tulsi Gabbard, Donald Trump's director of national intelligence, in March testified on Capitol Hill, saying that intelligence does not point to Iran actively pursuing a nuclear weapon at this time. Late last night, Trump on Air Force One dismissed congressional testimony, saying, I don't care what she said. I think they're very close to having it, essentially rejecting his own director of national intelligence. And despite Israeli airstrikes aimed at halting Iran's nuclear progress, U.S. officials at this hour believe that the airstrikes only set Iran back a few months. We'll see what happens. Thailand is ordering its military to prepare evacuation flights for its citizens in Israel and Iran, where missile strikes have now continued for 5 straight days. Around 40,000 Thai residents are in Israel and about 300 are in Iran. Overnight, a Russian missile and drone strike in Kiev targeted at least 55 people, injured, 14 dead. President Zelensky called this, quote, one of the most horrific attacks on Kiev since 2022. A direct hit on a 9-story apartment building resulted in destroying 30 units, and fears of the death toll rising are high. In a historic break from tradition, the NAACP has decided not to invite Donald Trump to its national convention. For the first time in the organization's 116 years, is a U.S. president now being excluded. According to the NAACP president, he said, quote, Trump's actions are antithetical to our mission, citing attacks on American democracy and civil rights. When asked if he had called Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Trump responded, quote, I think the governor of Minnesota is so whacked out. Why would I call him? The guy doesn't have a clue. The Department of Homeland Security reversed guidance limiting raids on farms and workplace, restaurants, hotels, instructing ICE to resume worksite raids as soon as today. U.S. retail sales dropped 0.9% in May, steeper than expected due to declining gas sales, reduced auto purchases, and growing economic uncertainty, according to the Commerce Department. The American Bar Association has filed a federal lawsuit challenging Donald Trump's so-called law firm intimidation policy, accusing his executive orders this year of coercing firms into dropping clients, revoking security clearances, and more. Former ABC News correspondent Terry Moran said he deliberately used strong language to describe Stephen Miller as someone who, quote, eats his hate, asserting the comment reflected his honest belief. He was later, remember, suspended by ABC News and no longer works there after ABC News decided not to renew Moran's contract. And in addition, lenacapavir, a twice-yearly injectable drug with the potential to help end the HIV pandemic, is expected to be approved as soon as this week by regulators. That is significant news. Folks, it's going to be a very busy news day. I'm going to be providing you wall-to-wall coverage throughout the day, and at 2:30 Eastern Time, I'll be going live with California Governor Gavin Newsom for his first ever exclusive Substack Live. So be sure to tune in on my Substack, subscribe to my Substack to support by clicking the button below, and send a one-time donation to support my work via Venmo to Aaron-Parnas, and I will see you shortly at 2:30, and then I'll see you again this evening. So take care, everyone.